Satterfield, and then Tony will be down in the program. So, questions?
Coach, do you have an update or anything you can say about Jeff? Have you been able to practice or do anything for you guys this week?
We held him out on yesterday's practice. Just he got mental reps and followed around the huddle and everything. Expect him to be out there tonight and go as full speed as he possibly can.
Does he have to be a certain percentage? I mean, you put him out there if he's not 100%. How do you approach that for Saturday?
That's more of a coach rule question than my question. But we're never going to put it's the kid's health first before we put him out there.
How do you feel the other guys have done this week in their prep work?
Good. It's an opportunity. We try to iron sharpen iron mentality all the time. Through competition. So they're preparing like they're going to be the starters, both of them, and they've had a good week so far.
With Heinrich, he got in there a little bit on Saturday, but what has sort of stood out to you about his mentality and just how he approaches things with working with him these last 8 months?
He's very much a football guy. I don't know if he comes across like that all the time, but he's a very smart kid, works at it, diligent in his work. He's grinded since the spring of just improving his craft at that position, and it was good that it was bad that Jeff got a little banged up, but it was good that he got to get out there and get some reps. I think that'll help him.
Before Jeff's injury, when did you get the sense of what was going on with him during the Colorado game?
It's easy to say, well, just catch the snaps, but I think it goes back to what we talked about last week. Like, I've got to continue to do a better job coaching him. We have to catch the snaps, and what I mean by that is like we have to work during the week with more crowd noise. Like I've got to do a better job of making sure that we're utilizing certain snap counts, with the motions and stuff that we use. I've got to be smart with the play types with the motions and stuff that we're using, especially down in the student section when it got really loud. I think, all that kind of comes into play. So I think, it was just one of those days where there was all kinds of factors of why the ball wasn't getting caught, from the shotgun alignment. And I think that, we'll improve on it. And I think, but it's all of us. It's not just Jeff.
With Harvard, or with the situation with Chuba kind of battling something too at the same time as Jeff, does a guy like Longville have his reps ramp up, or how do you manage that situation with a guy like Longville?
Yeah, Luke. Luke's one of our room favorites. We've adopted him, being a new kid this year, but he's done an excellent job, just from a development standpoint, from when he got here to where he is now. Like when he first got here, I would say we'd have to go find somebody else to go in the game, but I think that he's developed himself into, more than an adequate option if we needed him to go into the game and finish a game off for us.
I feel like through 2 games you've found a few staples with this offense you really believe in.
After 2 games, I'm very frustrated, with just the ball security. It kind of just takes hold of everything that you've done. We've done some really, really, really good things offensively, especially running the football, the quarterback run game. Guys are getting better each week, but it's clouded by the turnovers. And so we've got to fight. I don't know if I'm not answering your question, but we have to fight like hell to win the turnover margin and stop doing, we're not giving ourselves a chance to win. Playing great defense, playing great special teams, playing good offense. But when you turn the ball over like that, you have no shot.
What have you thought in terms of, you mentioned play calling? There were a couple of 3rd down calls late in the first half. You re-examine those, like allowing Jeff to kind of scramble on that one, or having him throw on 3rd and 12 with about 3 minutes left, only down 3-0?
No, I don't have any second guessing about any of my calls on 3rd down. There was a couple early that, going into it, Coach and I discussed just, hey, we're backed up a little bit. Let's be smart. Let's get it complete. As Coach, you'll hear him say, like, let's get the ball and play and see if we can catch and run. So other than that, I'm good with all the calls that I had on 3rd down.
Did the turnover issue crop up during the season, or was it something that was going on in August?
No, it was. It's really just popped up in the last 2 weeks to where it's been to this magnitude, and just kind of really came to a head last week. But again, it's easy to say Jeff, it was all Jeff's fault. Like, there's all kinds of factors in those, why he wasn't able to catch all those balls from under center, with the motions and the snap timing and the having to go on the silent count and get the motion back there. So we've really worked at it. I hate to be reactionary. That sucks when you have to come in and be reactionary, but I think that we're off to a good start of making sure we remedy that.
How do you feel about your running backs right now? And Anthony didn't really play Saturday. You guys were
100%. And he had a great day Sunday, great day yesterday. So he's going to keep working his way back into the alignment. Working his way back into the lineup. He's very, very physical and gives us a lot of options back there. I'm pleased with the entire room. They've done a nice job. They've been productive. Gabe's been productive. Ramirez's been productive. So they're off to a good start.
Through a couple games, it's kind of been hard for you guys to get the ball to the wide receivers. What do you sort of seen on film as you examine what teams are doing to extend the receivers away?
I think it's just a matter of, last year here at Nebraska, they threw the ball to, one or two guys. I think it's just guys learning how to, have opportunities, learn how the responsibilities to get open. I think that we improved a little bit last week. Billy, at least we got the ball in Billy's hands last week, and I think we'll continue to improve this week. We know that in order to be a good offense, we can't just run the ball and run the quarterback. We've got to develop a passing game, and I think that we're steadfast at doing that and making sure that each week we're going to get a little bit better.
In your time with Coach Rule, I'm sure you've heard some of the things in the past that he's been saying this week about double down on what you're doing, trust the process. What does that kind of stuff mean to you? What does it look like when you put it into practice?
It means don't lose, don't be reactionary in a manner where you're going to change it. Well, we're going to do this differently now, or you come in and you're like, I know we've been repping these plays since the spring, but we're changing our mind. These new plays are going to work. I know we met for 20 minutes last week, but let's meet for 60 this week. Like all those little things. Like our process is our process. We own our process. We learn, live, and defend the process. The guys that have been with Coach Rule, we're in our defend mode. Like we've been doing this since 2010, 2011, 2012, and so with moments like this, we know it's going to come early when we start the whole the experience in year number one. And our thing has always been just double down on the process. Don't change it. If something needs to be changed, we'll change it. But our process is our process. It's been proven, so we have to double down on it and just do it better.
What message do you give some of these young receivers who really have an opportunity to play? They don't have to wait their turn; they can play right away.
Yeah, they need to come out and practice, and they need when we're doing one-on-ones, they need to go get open. They need to attack the ball. They need to show that be competitive and be productive. And there's a heck of an opportunity out there at that position to go and make plays and do things.
Have you ever had a situation where basically only 3 receivers took 95% of the snaps?
I have, yeah. I mean, is it a good situation? Not a great situation, but I've been there before.
What about Northern Illinois, their defensive front? What jumps out about them and how they might challenge you?
They have 8 returning starters. They're an older team, so they're a bunch of grown men that we're going to be playing Saturday. They've been in some fires. They've played in some big stadiums, so it's not going to be anything big for them. I think that they're very disruptive. They do a lot of different movements and in-line games that really cause some frustration to offensive lines. So we got to be prepared to block movement and block a physical front line.
What kind of challenge was it to kind of have to open things up on the road the first 2 games, trying to transition this team and offense, all of that, quarterback?
Right now, it sucks. I mean, it's terrible. I mean, you'd love to have been at home and been comfortable and playing maybe like some people do. What would be seen as a smaller opponent, that would have felt better. But in the long run, 6 weeks from now, would it have been better? No. What stinks right now, kind of doubling down on the process, is going to make us stronger 6 weeks from now. We needed to go through that. We played in 2 hostile environments. That environment, I was in the SEC for 2 years. Those are some crazy stadiums. Last week was insane. And, the crowd noise and everything that we've had to go through the first 2 weeks offensively to force the issue of communication, really ramping up the communication, new ways to communicate, I think is going to pay dividends for us, 6, 7 weeks from now. So what sucks right now, right, is going to be a blessing in the end.
What's your assessment of the offensive line, how they've played?
I mean, it's our most consistent crew. They've given up some sacks. And like I said last week, they're not always their fault. It's easy to say the quarterback got sacked, that's the offensive lineman's fault. But, they come to work every day. They know and do their job. They're very dependable. They're doing a nice job in the run game. They're doing it's not just quarterback runs. We're under center, handing the ball off and getting yards. So they need to continue to improve and get better, as the entire group does. But I'm very pleased with them.
Anything in particular that struck you about that stadium and that atmosphere?
No, you just feel the electricity. It was an electric stadium. It felt like a big game, and I'd never been there before. I watched all those games my whole life as a kid, seeing the black thing that said Colorado in the big press box. That was cool to see. But it's neat, like whenever you I've never been in in a program where you're on the road, and there's that many of your fans there. Like it was kind of neat. It felt like a state championship game, kind of like, there was so much red in the stands.
Hey, Coach Rule made a comment about going to this side of the stadium, and you and him walking by some photos, and seeing some guy you guys didn't know who it was and thinking he was interesting. But he didn't unpack the whole story. But what do you think of like this stadium?
It's the coolest thing, and like Coach Rule came in my office this morning, and it's been a grind the last 3 days, and it's not been a lot of fun for anybody, trying to work through all this stuff. And he opens the door and he's like, Sat, what's up? Good morning. He goes, woke up this morning, we're freaking coaching football at Memorial Stadium this weekend. How cool is that? And it is cool. And it's I hope I never take it for granted. Just walking through the halls and seeing the pictures, you can just feel the history, the tradition, and we got to honor that. And I'm going to go walk through there and just start saying some prayers to the Nebraska Memorial Stadium football gods, just win the turnover margin. So it's a blessing to be here, and we love it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Just in the overall pass rush success against Colorado, what do you think kind of went into that? Because there was some 3-4-man rushes that had some success as well.
Yeah, that was a good job of everybody on the D staff, Rob and T Knight, coming up with some things that they thought would be effective, and then to go along with the coverage in the back end, trying to mirror it up. We knew we were going to have to mix it up a lot, with what they do on offense, and that was just a good plan by the guys, and then great execution by the young men on the grass.
What's the key to doing that well, especially against an tempo offense?
I think the key with anything on defense is to make sure that it is in its simplest version, so the young men can absorb it and then they can execute it on the grass. That's kind of the word that's being used around here this week, is the execution part, because so many times on the film you see guys are literally 6 inches away from making game-changing plays. Well, how do you do that? You gotta focus a lot more on the execution part, and making sure that they truly understand the why. Why do I have to be tilted at this angle? Why do I have to be tighter on this tackle? What am I expecting? And so those 6 inches are the difference between a 40-yard bomb we give up or a sack, cost fumble, game-changing play. So I think everything goes down to making sure that we install things in its simplest form, so the young men can go just do it on the grass and understand the why. Oh man, they're physical. I mean, this is a school that I got a chance to compete against a couple times at one of my old place, San Diego State, and they are always physical, no matter what. They are a physical group that plays up. They went to Boston College, and I thought they physically got after them. So they're going to come in here, and I would think they would do the same. Especially, it didn't help that they didn't have the showing they wanted last week, but that's just more fuel for them to get up and correct and come in here and play with their hair on fire. So they're going to be a physical bunch. They present a lot of different personnel groupings, a lot of different formations, so it'll be a challenge.
What have you thought through 2 weeks about your guys' physical play, ability to play physical and to tackle in space?
Yeah, I think they're just showing, again, I keep saying this, but they were trained from day one when we got here to do those things. They're athletically gifted. They, through the course of the time being here with Coach Campbell and Kristen and everybody, in terms of getting themselves into shape and being able to be their strongest, most explosive version of themselves, and then coming back here and then, again, installing defenses where they feel like they can just go play the football game, and then going out there and doing it. So I thought that, it can always get better. I mean, we're nowhere near where we need to be, but it is a good feeling when the guys do it, and then they gain validation that, hey, I can do this. I can do this routinely. So that's kind of cool.
Having been a part of implementing the scheme at a couple different schools, or several different schools, where do you see, like at this point and as the first season goes on, the progress jump the most?
I mean, I would think that part of it. I mean, we came in with the creating a defense here that, I mean, again, I say the same things, but it's really true. You got so many great minds. I mean, the stuff that they did at Carolina and Baylor was awesome. I mean, some of the best defenses in the country. Then you take it to the NFL, some of the best defenses in the NFL, mixed with the things that I got a chance to learn from Coach Long and all that and develop. And so that's why, you keep coming back to this defense here that's like a mesh of it all. I think it's something totally different, something totally new. And again, it's a good feeling that we're all able to come out with ideas that the young men can absorb and go out there and play fast, represent the black shirts the way they're supposed to be represented.
When did you first kind of take notice of Makai Bear? Was it in the spring? Was it fall camp? When did you kind of come on?
No, he did some really good things in the spring. You can see his versatility. You can see it early that he can play all three spots. He was just a guy who kind of did everything right. And to his credit, he just keeps getting better. He just keeps growing. And that's the process kicking in. He is leaned up. He is stronger. He's more explosive than he's ever been. And then he comes in here and then just, like I said, slowly just making plays here and there where you're like, okay, let's see. And then when he got the credit on the special teams, when you watched him on special teams against Minnesota and the things he was putting on the grass, and you're like, hey, Coach was like, hey, this guy needs to play. And sure enough, throw him in there and the guy balls out. So that's totally him. That's him believing in the process and then putting some activity behind it, doing the extra. He's always up here meeting extra, he meets special teams extra. And now he's playing ball and he's having a great time doing it, being a great teammate, all that stuff. So it's really cool for him, cool to watch.
Was there a specific light bulb moment that you saw for him, or has it genuinely been a gradual?
No, it's been gradual because, like I said, you can see the flashes. He was making plays in spring ball, making plays in fall camp. The play that I think really showed like, okay, this dude belongs on the grass was he ran down on the kickoff against Minnesota, and Coach showed it on the whole team. And he must have taken on 2 or 3 blocks, and I mean, he destroyed the blocks and made a solo tackle in space on kickoff. And I'm like, that's impressive. People don't do that. I mean, so he showed he's ready to play, and Coach was like, hey man, let's get this guy on the grass, and that's what he did. So really cool.
What are the traits of a guy who can play all 3 linebacker positions? What tips you off as the guy who can move around a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, he's strong. He's strong enough and physical enough on the line of scrimmage, and then when we do our blitzes, he's got a good timing and a good feel to slither his way through there on all those blitzes and stuff. And then the other aspect is coverage. You got to be able to cover whether it's man to man or whether in zone. And so, like him being able to move around and stuff. Sometimes Coach Rob did a really nice job moving him around, and so that way you really get a chance to see all the different versatility he brought to the game. And so him doing that again, it's something that you wouldn't have said that when you first got here. You're looking back on tape and stuff, and you're like, there's no tape of this guy. What is he? And then, like I said, man, here we are some months later, and he's doing the things that someone who believes in the process and really, really lives the process. Now he's here making plays.
You getting enough production from the jack position?
Yeah, I mean that's a group. I mean that's MJ. That's I know we haven't had a chance to see Jamari go out there, Chief, and then Makai, and then some of the game. Javen's in there at the jack as well. So when we're in all 3 linebackers in there, he's technically in there like a jack. So. Again, that goes back to the versatility of the guys, and that goes back to Rob, teaching those guys and explaining it in a way which they can all absorb, and then those guys understand concepts, and then they're out there running around. So that's cool.
Sometimes it's hard to tell, like you explained that a guy's playing this position, and we could watch the game and watch it again, may not know that he was playing that position.
Mm-hmm.
Is that kind of the point? Like, you want your opponents to kind of feel the same way, like when you line up, they may not know who's at what position?
Yeah, I mean that's any advantage we can get. We want to take advantage of. I mean, it's like the D line. Again, T Knight rotates those guys consistently in there. So sometimes you got Ty as a D tackle. Sometimes he's the nose guard. Sometimes he's out there as the end, you know, and then Nash sometimes is the 3 tech. You know what I mean? So, like, it always goes back to the players, you know, and what those guys can do and do effectively. You know what I mean? And so those guys learning all those positions in there, like, that's big time ball stuff. You know, that's a testament to them and how much they care, because that's hard to do. First year, all 3 spots in there for as many as 8, 9 different fronts we give guys and blitzes and stuff. For those guys to learn that and to learn what all 3, that goes back to T Knight and the way he's teaching those guys and the bond he has, and then those guys putting in the legwork to learn it and then do it on the grass.
Is it complex when you're playing a tempo team to be able to get those signals in to let guys know not just what the play is, but where they have to line up and how much, you know, how much room for have a lot of margin for error there? I mean, the guys have to line up at the right spot.
No, it goes back to just teaching. You know, you give when you go tempo, right? You don't have all day to signal. So really, what you do is you do word association. We're doing it right now, and we're running out of words. So I got to figure some stuff out. But you know, you have a word, and the way you install it, this word means this front, it means this movement, it means this blitz, and it means this coverage. And that's how you teach it. You teach it just step by step. So that way, when you say the word, they're like, oh, it's this front. Oh, it's this blitz. Oh, it's this coverage right away. You know what I mean? So, again, the guys being able to teach it and the guys being able to absorb it, that's all the credit goes to them.
What's the thing or things that has to happen for defense to go from getting stops to get to it?
Yeah, I think the takeaways come when you're aggressive. You know, you're really aggressive. And I think that, you know, there's a fine line between having a lot of defense and having them think on the fly. And so, you know, going back through there and looking at some stuff, you know, want to make sure that we do have enough defense to defend whatever we got to defend. These guys present a big problem that way because all their formations and all their personnel groupings, you know. But also, I think you cause takeaways when guys are really physical and guys make those jumps on the ball, you know, whether they're in zone and they understand what's coming or they're in man and their technique takes over and they're in that right spot and where their eyes can find the ball. I think those are the times where you create those takeaways. And like I said, we're 6 inches, 7 inches, 8 inches away. So now the gap becomes how do I make that up on defense? You know, how do I, from the classroom to the walkthroughs to all that stuff, you know, Coach was in there and saying, how do we make up that difference? And so we're going in there and trying to make sure that those guys are in those positions.
What about Cameron Hart? Is he just scratching the surface of what his potential may be?
Yeah, I mean, again, he's not. You say Cam, and he comes in the room. You don't look at and see him as like a freshman. I mean, he's very mature. He's a guy who feels like he's been there and done that already. But he'll be the first one to walk into a room and say, "Hey, I got to improve. I didn't make this play. I didn't make this play. I didn't make this play." You know, and that's the thing. That's a good player to a great player. You know, I mean, the first thing he out of his mouth is like, "I should have made this play. I should have did this right. I should have did this right." And so it's refreshing because. I think when good guys do good things, you want to see that. You want to reward them. You want to praise them. You want, and he's a good guy. You know what I mean? So it's cool to see him do those things so early in his career. You know.
Hey, what kind of challenges did Rocky Lombardi provide? He's the guy that started the game in the stadium in 2018, a 7-year senior guy, quarterback.
Yeah, experience. I mean, you see again, like you can't. They're almost like what we do on defense. You can't do all those things and not have that dude back there under center. You know what I mean? When you're in 14 personnel, you're in 13J, you're in 12J, then you go to 11, then you go to 21. I mean, with all the shifts, trades, motion formations, you can't do that if the guy under center doesn't know what he's doing and what he's looking at. So he's a mature guy, experienced guy. He knows what he wants to do. And so it's a challenge.
We have a lot of youth on the team line. What have you seen from Van Poppel and Ballmer and Princewell and England as well?
Yeah, I mean, again, we're trying to get them up to speed and let them play, right? I mean, that's the whole deal. Is they're not here to watch guys play. You know, they're here to play. And so, I think the biggest thing is you got to get them on the grass and let them do it, right? Practice is one thing. You gotta do it in practice so that way everybody has a trust to put you in the game. But then the game's a whole nother level, right? There's guys who are great practice players, and then you throw them in the game, and then it's like they disappear for some reason. You gotta put in under the lights, and you got to perform. So those guys going out there and performing it only allows the road to increase, and then we can do more things with them and all that kind of stuff. Up to a point where you're saying, hey, maybe this is too much for them and all that stuff. But again, as many guys that can play is going to play.
Y'all have been on the road for the last 2 weeks and finally get to play at home. What does that mean to you and your guys?
That means a lot. Like Coach Rule said it this morning when he came into the staff. Like, this is going to be my first game in one of the most historic venues in college football. Like you got to slow down and think about it for a second, because we got a game. But dude, it doesn't get any cooler than that. You know what I mean? It does not get any cooler to represent the Inn, running out there in the tunnel, and I'm looking forward to the tunnel walk and going out there and seeing 90+ thousand out there. You know what I mean? It's going to be a surreal moment for me, and I know the guys are raring to go. So if you can't get up for this game, then you don't need to be here.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody.